Do you remember what Las Vegas felt like in the 80s and 90s? Back then, Vegas was the great equalizer. You didn't need a six-figure income to feel important. A factory worker, a retired school teacher, even a young couple scraping together vacation money could come for a long weekend and feel like a VIP. Parking was free. Buffets were affordable and actually good. Dealers recognized repeat faces. The deal was simple. You showed up with a little cash, and the city treated you like royalty. Fast forward to 2025, and that deal is gone. Walk the strip today, and the first thing you notice is not glamour or excitement. It is friction. Broken elevators, hallways that smell damp, self-check-in kiosks replacing front desk staff, rooms advertised as renovated that feel tired the moment you walk in. And then there are the fees. Resort fees that quietly climb past $40 a night, sometimes costing more than the room itself. Headlines still brag about record gambling revenue, but they never mention what guests are actually experiencing on the ground. These once legendary resorts are being hollowed out by corporate cost cutting. The Dunes is long gone. The Sands exists only in photos. Mirage and Tropicana were erased almost overnight. So the question is no longer what disappeared. The question is, who is next? This isn't a rant about expensive cocktails or overpriced steaks. I have done that in other videos. This is a breakdown of why several iconic Las Vegas casinos are quietly approaching the end of the road. Not because of bad luck, and not because people stopped loving Vegas, but because balance sheets started mattering more than guests. We're going to walk through the properties already in trouble and end with the one that proved nothing in this city is safe anymore. Let's start with a place that once represented the middle-class heart of the Strip. For decades, Harrah's was the dependable option. It was never flashy. It did not try to compete with Bellagio fountains or Caesar's columns. It was straightforward. Clean rooms, decent food, fair prices. It was the kind of place where veterans, retirees, and repeat visitors felt comfortable coming back year after year. That version of Harrah's barely exists anymore. If you look at online ratings today, the averages seem fine. 3.5, sometimes 4 stars. But averages hide patterns. When you read the recent reviews closely, the same complaints keep showing up. Smoke that feels permanently embedded in the fabric. Carpets worn thin in the hallways, rooms that feel dated despite being labeled refreshed, ventilation systems that struggle to keep up. At the same time, prices keep rising. Room rates have jumped steadily over the last few years, often increasing 10 to 15% annually. On top of that, guests are hit with daily resort fees in the $25 to $35 range. Breakfast buffets that once felt like a value now push $40. Using the mini fridge for your own drinks costs extra. Paying those prices at a luxury resort is one thing. Paying them at a property that has clearly been placed on maintenance autopilot is another. The reason becomes obvious when you look at ownership priorities. Caesars Entertainment has poured hundreds of millions into flagship properties and rebrands elsewhere on the Strip. Harrah's, meanwhile, receives just enough investment to keep the doors open. It's not being developed. It's being harvested. Data from the Nevada Gaming Control Board shows a slow but steady decline in Harrah's most loyal demographic. Older guests and longtime players are not switching brands because they want to. They are leaving because the value is gone. Many end up downgrading to cheaper properties, accepting worse conditions simply to avoid the fees. Harrah's sits on prime land, but the building itself is aging badly. The likely futures are not encouraging. A sale to pay down debt, a major gut and rebrand that removes gaming space, or continued decline until the numbers stop working. Either way, the Harrah's people remember is already gone. Across the street stands a property whose problem is not neglect alone, but irrelevance. When Excalibur opened in 1990, it was bold and unapologetically strange. A medieval castle on the Strip, during an era when Las Vegas was experimenting with family-friendly fantasy. For a while, it worked. Kids loved it. Parents tolerated it. It felt fun instead of cynical. 35 years later, the concept has aged badly. Step into Excalibur today and the atmosphere feels heavy. The smell is a mix of industrial cleaner, old smoke, and worn carpet. Elevators are frequently overcrowded or out of service. Guest rooms feel locked in another era, with furniture and fixtures that show their age no matter how much paint is applied. MGM Resorts knows exactly what Excalibur is. It is not a flagship, it is a volume play. Rooms are priced low enough to pull in budget travelers, then resort fees quietly erase the savings. Little money is spent on real renovations because there is no long-term vision for the property as it exists today. The land matters more than the building. Excalibur occupies one of the most valuable intersections in Las Vegas, Tropicana and Las Vegas Boulevard. That location alone guarantees foot traffic. As long as the property generates cash, it stays open. The moment maintenance costs exceed revenue, the bulldozers will not hesitate. Excalibur is not being saved. It is being parked. If Excalibur is slowly fading, the next property is struggling for a different reason entirely: location. For years, being off-strip was not a deal breaker. It was sometimes an advantage. The Rio thrived by offering space, value, and a local vibe. Its seafood buffet was legendary. For nearly 2 decades, the World Series of Poker gave it global relevance every summer. That all changed when the poker rooms moved to the Strip. Once the World Series left in 2022, the Rio lost its anchor. Suddenly, guests had no reason to cross the highway. The I-15 cuts the Rio off physically and psychologically. You don't wander into the Rio by accident. Dreamscape companies bought the property with big promises. Renovations began, towers were refreshed, marketing tried to signal a comeback. But behind the scenes, the financial structure tells a worrying story. To fund the overhaul, Dreamscape took on a $176 million C-PACE loan. This type of financing is repaid through property taxes and sits directly on the building. It's not flexible and it doesn't care about bad quarters. Revenue must keep flowing. That creates immediate pressure. The Rio needs locals to survive. Tourists are not crossing highways in 2025. Locals, however, remember the years of neglect under previous ownership. Broken machines, dirty rooms, closed amenities. Trust is hard to rebuild in this city. If local traffic does not return in force, the debt becomes suffocating. Bankruptcy is not a dramatic prediction. It's a math problem. Now we move back to the Strip, to a place that should never have fallen this far. Circus Circus was once a rite of passage. Affordable, loud, chaotic, fun. Families stayed there. Kids remembered it. Adults accepted the rough edges because it was honest about what it was. That honesty is gone. Today, Circus Circus feels abandoned. Hallways smell damp. Manor rooms show clear signs of water damage. Carpets are stained and worn beyond repair. Guests report broken air conditioning units and makeshift fixes that never last. More troubling are the safety concerns. Throughout 2024 and into 2025, reports of theft, fights, and inadequate security staffing increased. When corners are cut on security, guests notice immediately. The current ownership strategy is simple. Spend as little as possible. Collect whatever revenue remains. Wait for land values to justify demolition. And finally, we come to the property that changed everything by disappearing entirely. The Mirage was not just another casino. It was the blueprint for modern Las Vegas. When it opened in 1989, it proved that luxury could exist here. It proved that people would travel for spectacle, not just gambling. Every mega resort that followed owes its existence to that idea. In July 2024, the Mirage closed for good. The volcano went dark. Demolition began. Its replacement will be a hard rock guitar hotel, a brand-driven reimagining that treats history as disposable. If the Mirage could be erased, nothing is protected. Not nostalgia, not legacy, not cultural importance. In corporate Las Vegas, memory has no line item. So here is the real question. In a city driven by debt, fees, and deferred maintenance, is Las Vegas still delivering what it once promised? Or has it become a place where guests are simply inputs in a financial model? If you have stayed at any of these properties recently, I want to hear your experience. Did it feel like Vegas, or did it feel transactional? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more honest breakdowns of what is really happening on the Strip, subscribe to the channel.